I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. If a patient is attempted to be resuscitated by public safety or healthcare workers but dies, will that patient recognize those same people in heaven as a person who tried to save them? Well, this is kind of a classic biblical question, just couched in somewhat of a different genre. And the big question is this: will we recognize people in heaven as we knew them on earth? Whether that's a healthcare worker that tried to save our life, whether that's a husband or a wife of 50 plus years, a child, a coworker, a friend, a ball coach, whatever it may be. And really the one passage we have is found in Matthew chapter 22, verse 30, at the conclusion of a story where the Sadducees are trying to somewhat tempt Jesus or convince him that there is no life after death. And they use this analogy of a woman who's married, her husband dies, she marries all of her brothers, all his brothers, all 7 brothers. The question is, whose husband will she be in heaven? And Jesus says in verse 30 of Matthew 22, you err not knowing the scriptures. Do you not know that we will be as the angels? Now, the Bible does not say you become an angel when you die. That's not biblical. That's Hollywood. Secondly, what that says is that our relationships are not the same in heaven as they are on earth, okay? It says, as the angels, we will not marry. Now, when it comes to personal recognition, like for example, will I recognize my own dad? Will I recognize my own mom, my wife one day when we get there? That's when we get to 1 John chapter 3, verse 2, that says one day when we're in our glorified body, we will be as Jesus was. Now, here's what's important there, okay? When Jesus raised from the dead and he was in his resurrected body, nobody had to question who he was. They knew who he was. But here's a caveat. In Matthew chapter 17, when he's on the Mount of Transfiguration with Moses and Elijah, the men that were there, Peter, James, and John, they had never met Moses and Elijah. They didn't live the day of YouTube videos, so they didn't know what they looked like, but they knew who they were. And so at the end of the day, there's really no conclusive biblical evidence if I'm going to look like I do right now one day in all of heaven and that everybody will recognize me as me. I do know the Bible says in Revelation 2, I'm going to get a new name. And the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15, I'm going to get a new body. But at the end of the day, there's biblical evidence. Moses and Elijah were recognized. Jesus was recognized in his glorified body. Will we know them as the healthcare worker versus the spouse? That is a question that the Bible is just not conclusive about. That's why we walk by faith. Great question. If you have one, send to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thank you so much for being a part of our daily question here at the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. I want to encourage you on a few things. Number one, if you have a question to ask, submit it to AskJeff.net. Eventually, we'll get around to your question. Secondly, we'd encourage you to subscribe. That way, each and every day, Monday through Friday, you get a reminder of our question of the day. And last but not least, I want to remind you that on Wednesday evenings, live at First Baptist Church of Opelika, FBCOpelika.com, we do a solid hour of Ask Jeff where we dig into the questions more than just 60 or 90 seconds. Sometimes it would take the entire hour. All that being said, AskJeff.net is where you submit a question to this channel each and every day, Monday through Friday.